Ooh, welcome one and all to another brand new episode of Undisputed Nerds. You're looking so festive. I gotta say it straight off the top.
Ding dong merrily on high, in heaven the bells are ringing. Hello, everyone in Radio Land. It's the Gentlemanly Gamer here. I feel like this is going to be a bit of a festive one-man show because I'm going to spoil it for you guys well in advance. Mr. Tideshow has had a certain Christmas party this week, and he is feeling a little bit worse for wear. Am I right in saying that, Mr. Tideshow?
It's probably fair to say. And look, if you're listening to this on the podcast version, you could probably already hear it in my voice. I apologize. You know, when Mr. Brightside comes on, you have to scream. You have to scream every single word, right? Or else it's not a Christmas party at all.
Yep, there you go. He's basically expelled all of his Mr. Brightside in singing that song. So today we've got Mr. Depressed, really unwell, hungover side Tideshow. For those of you who are watching on YouTube as well, we're going insane this week, Zane, aren't we? We're going insane. It's the beginning of December, so yes. We all know what that means. It means, in England at least, in the UK, mince pies. It means getting your turkeys in, and it means doing a Christmas episode 4 weeks before Christmas.
Absolutely, the Twiglets are out. Yeah.
Twiglets, festive Twiglets. I forgot about that. Yeah, nice. They get those special Cadbury's Puds Christmas puddings, but they're, oh god, it's great. So anyway, those of you watching on YouTube, I've made the effort today, and I've come dressed as Buddy the Elf for our special festive episode. Zane has made absolutely zero effort whatsoever because, as we've established, he's extremely hungover. So, Zane, what are we going to be doing this week to celebrate Christmas?
I thought it'd be great to reflect on 10 of the best Christmas movies. So if you're thinking, I don't know what to watch, I want to get in the mood, the Christmas festive spirit, the winter festival, as some may call it.
Yep, that's what some who are hungover may call it. That's correct.
We've got 10 of the best Christmas movies, and we've gone for a little je ne sais quoi by sprinkling a little bit of nerdiness in there as well.
You can tell he's hungover. He'd never speak French if he was not hungover. That's very impressive. Yeah. So anyway, it's the usual show that you've come to know and love, guys. We're going to do some news to begin with, a little bit of hot tips and bits, and then we're gonna cool things off with some festive, wintry, spirity, choice movies. As Zane said, let's call it our je ne sais quoi segment. But yeah, anyway, should we begin with some? Are you feeling okay, Zane? I am worried about you today.
I'll be fine. I've got a coffee. I've got water.
I said when I got on the call with him beforehand, guys, before the show started, he's got those gentle eyes today. Like it's hard to Zane's normally very straight to the point and very right, this is how we got to do it. Boom, 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 boom. But today I picked up the call with him and he was just like, hi, and it was like you could see there was just booze behind those eyes. You could tell. But yes, I did want to share with you a little story as well, because I was going to talk to you about it before the stream, but I thought, now let's save it for the podcast, which was I went to see The Matrix last night in IMAX, which was very good, and it's made me even more excited for Resurrections when that comes out. But my wife wanted some popcorn from the cinema. She didn't care about the movies, she just wanted popcorn from the cinema. And I was like, well, I'm not carrying back a full bag of popcorn with me from the cinema for you. I'm not doing it. We've been married, we've been together almost 12 years. You should know me by now. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So I said, let's go to the cinema ourselves this weekend. Let's go, the two of us, on a date night. So she was like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay, cool. So I was looking at the films today, and there was a lot of films on. So there's things like June that are still on. Obviously, there's The Matrix is on. There was Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, which I do want to go and see. But none of these things are like my partner's kind of, cup of tea.
Yeah.
She doesn't like it. And then I was like, well, the only thing that's on. And then she said to me, "What's House of Gucci?" And I was like, she was like, "It sounds like a horror movie. What is it?" And I was like, "It's not a horror movie. It's a movie about fashion. You know, it's about the Gucci brand." And then she looked at it and just sent me a message going, "A movie about fashion should not occupy 3 hours worth of script cinema time." So long story short, we're not going to the cinema tonight, guys.
That's a shame. I guess depending on how you look at it, it could be seen as a horror because there is a death in there.
That is true. But yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, I just have to make a very quick adjustment, guys. Zane, just fill time for a little bit. I just need to take my hood down because this Christmas jumper, whilst it is especially festive, it's very hot. So just give me a sec.
Very well. For those who are wondering what sort of drinks I had the night before, all I'll say is there was a tray of Jaeger bombs, and
Oh dear.
let's just say I feel like Eren Jaeger, which is a very good anime reference for a pun there. Hey, if you haven't already, check out Undisputed.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I was waiting for it. He's got to drop one at least a week. Right. Okay. Cool. I'm back. I'm dehooded, and I'm ready to rock with some bits and tips. Are you ready for this, Mr. Taicho?
Hit me some bits and bits.
Good. Okay. Good.
Bits, please.
That's what he sounded like at the end of the Christmas party. All right, so let's. We normally talk about Marvel, so I'm going to save Marvel until the kind of last shebang bits. So we're going to kind of cover a broad spectrum of things today.
Cool.
So first of all, talking about upcoming series from Disney again, but it's Star Wars. So the Book of Boba Fett is coming. Boba Fett, notoriously one of the worst bounty hunters in the entire galaxy until The Mandalorian. So doesn't know how to actually bounty hunts, just falls into a sarlacc and is never seen again. Anyway.
He's got that sweet armor.
Yes, he's got that sweet armor, and that's all he's got. Apparently, no disintegration. Like, he can't even get like capturing them right. He disintegrates people. Like, that's what Vader says to him. No disintegrations. Like, you're rubbish, Boba Fett. Anyway, so there's a lot of questions around Boba Fett's return in The Mandalorian, which obviously takes place after Return of the Jedi. How did he get there? How did he escape the Sarlacc pit? As I have established, he's a terrible bounty hunter. So how did he do that? There was an interview recently with, I'm going to butcher his name, I'm sorry, Tamura Morrison. Yeah. And this was through SFX magazine. Cool. And he has promised fans that the Disney Plus series is going to fill in some of these gaps. So his exact quote was, "There will definitely be a number of answers, some long-winded answers, some short and sharp answers, some colorful answers. We're filling in a lot of gaps." That is the literal quote from him. There's also in the same interview, there's also Ming-Na Wen, who's his co-star in it. She actually added to it, so explaining how their brush, like basically Fennec Shand, who she plays in the show, how Boba and their shared brushes with death is actually what brings them closer together. So her quote was, "Boba died, or we thought he did, in the Sarlacc pit. So I think that both of them share those near-death experiences in common. They both have a vulnerability that they understand." So thoughts, Zane, on we're finally going to get the answer as to why Boba Fett turned into a competent fighter in The Mandalorian?
I mean, that last statement makes me think that maybe she survived a Sarlacc pit.
A Sarlacc pit? You mean a Sarlacc pit?
A Sarlacc pit.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting. I know there's been a lot of IPs like the Clone Wars animated series that try to like fill in some of the earlier years of Boba Fett and such.
I love it when you say that. You do it every single time we talk about Boba Fett. You call him Boba Fett.
Boba.
Yeah, you call him Bubba.
That's why.
I just love it. It's like, what, is he the guy from Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Bubba? What are you talking about? You do it every time. I love it so much.
Bubba's my Bubba, all right?
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
So yeah, be cool. Yeah, like you say, hopefully some good flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Book of Boba Fett. I mean, everything that they've so far TV wise, Bad Batch was a bit kind of a hit and miss, but
Yeah,
live action TV wise with the Mandalorian and stuff, it's been amazing in Star Wars verse. So it's making me excited for Boba Fett, and it's making me excited for Kenobi as well when that comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on to DC World. Now I've sent you a little link, Zane, if you wouldn't mind just bringing that up. But we've had our first proper poster released for the Peacemaker TV series starring John Cena. We've also had an accompanying HBO Max trailer revealing that it is coming out on January the 13th. So the poster, which for those watching on YouTube, Zane's going to get up right now. There it is. Beautiful. Poster featuring the full cast and crew with Peacemaker John Cena front and center, and a gnome showing his bottom in the bottom left-hand corner of it, curiously enough, which was so it's interesting because there's a PG version of this, and then there's a non-PG version. So they give Peace a bad name is the PG version, and then the non-PG version is give Peace a chance. Okay, and I have filtered that for YouTube purposes. But yeah, this looks pretty good, man. I am excited for Peacemaker. I thought that John Cena's performance in The Suicide Squad was one of the standout performances of that film, and it definitely segmented him in one of the old wrestlers turned actors situation. You know, a la The Rock. I think he can basically write a ticket for what he wants to do now. What are your thoughts on both Cena and Peacemaker series? Are you excited for it?
Absolutely. It's going to be just as funny as the Suicide Squad movie. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see where they go with this.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, January 13th. Looking forward to it. Excited to sign up to HBO Max, apparently, you know, if you didn't already. We're not sponsored by HBO Max, but if you want to get in touch, let us know. Right, this is something that I wanted to talk about with you. This is. I mean, our episode is branching on non-comic booky stuff anyway with the Christmas movies things, but this had to be discussed. So, Universal Pictures are producing a film called Renfield. Have you heard about Renfield, Zane?
No.
Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing it up in the news this week is that Shang-Chi star, I can never pronounce her name. Oh, God, it's AWKWAFINA.
Okay.
It's the lady who plays his best friend in the show. It's Aquafina. That's how you say her name. Aquafina. Yes. That's the actress's name. I could never. It always takes me because I always want to say awkward Fina. It's like why do you spell Aquafina with AWK? Anyway, Aquafina has just been cast in this film, which is the Universal Pictures presentation. It's also got Nicholas Hoult, who played Beast from X-Men. The reason why I'm bringing it up is that it's got Nicolas Cage in it, and guess which character Nicolas Cage is playing?
Renfield.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, who is like? It's. I don't think he's actually playing Renfield. He's actually playing Dracula.
Oh, wow.
Nicolas Cage is playing Dracula. Finally, the insanity that is the Rage in the Cage is playing Dracula. So it's
his uncle Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is. Yeah. He also has a son called Kal-El.
Who has a son called Kal-El?
Nicolas Cage.
Does he really?
Kal-El Cage is his son. Yeah. Yeah. He's obsessed. He's obsessed with Superman. He loves Superman. He literally loves Superman. He's obsessed with Superman and Elvis, which is why everyone was kind of like, "Oh, he married Elvis Presley's daughter." I wonder why, because he's such a big fanboy of Elvis Presley. And yeah, his kid is called Kal-El.
Wow.
It's not a bad name actually when you put it with Cage. It's pretty good. But yes, he is Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, or like there's some relation there. I'm pretty sure his name is Coppola. Like I think his name is Nicholas Coppola, and then he changed his stage name because he didn't want to be associated with Coppola, and like have people say that's how he got famous when it totally
Yeah,
is. But yeah, anyway, so Awkwafina, Nicholas Hoult, and Nicolas Cage. This is actually summing up to be quite an interesting cast, and I just wanted to bring it up because I love that idea of Nicolas Cage. Bearing in mind he did Vampire's Kiss, which is one of the weirdest movies of the 90s, where he thinks he's turning into a vampire.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my god, I need to send you. I need to send you. I can't use the full name of the video because it's a swear on YouTube, but there's a video called 10 minutes of Nicolas Cage losing his
Okay.
And like quite a lot of that is from Vampire's Kiss. Have you ever seen there's a famous scene where he starts doing the alphabet just randomly?
No.
Where he's oh god, how have you not seen this, Zane?
I have no idea.
He's talking to this file clerk. He's basically the plot. We need to do a tier list of Nicolas Cage movies. That's what we're gonna do. But there's a thing where he's a lawyer basically in Vampire's Kiss, and he gets bitten by a bat, and then he thinks he's turning into a vampire, and that's what the movie's about. But like he's a really weird lawyer, and so he's talking to like this file clerk, and he goes, you've got to put it in the alphabetical order, A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z. That's all you have to do. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. For those of you who are listening right now and have heard this, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from. Sure. And I love it so much. It's one of my bit notifications on Twitch because I love it so much. I just let the whole thing play out. But I'm going to send it to you. But yeah, we've only seen tantalizing bits of what he might bring to a Dracula-like performance. So I'm very excited to see him in full bat crazy Nicolas Cage mode.
Nicolas Cage a la... Oh, I've forgotten our scale.
Yep, that's it. Exactly. Good. Nice one, Zane. He's firing on all cylinders today, guys.
Richard E. Grant scale.
Oh, God. I don't think... We might have to change it. We might have to do the Nicolas Cage... It might have to become the Nicolas Cage scale soon.
Yeah.
After you see this video, it's the level of crazy. Right, okay, so there's a video on YouTube as well called Richard E. Grant's Prozac Party, which I sent to Zane, and it's what kind of created our Richard E. Grant scale of acting talent. However, so Zane, I will tell you this: the Nicolas Cage video that I'm going to send to you is the same level of insanity as the Prozac Party from Richard E. Grant, without any of the special effects added in. That's how crazy Nicolas Cage is. So yeah, we may have to. There's a lot more movies to spread out with Nicolas Cage's acting talent range as well.
Absolutely.
Is he acting insane like in Bad Lieutenant, or is he acting insane like in Leaving Las Vegas? Is he acting as badly in Ghost Rider as he was in, say, Knowing? It's limitless.
It's very true.
He wasn't in Limitless. So anyway. Right, so moving on. Yeah. I love you, Nicolas Cage. You're an inspiration. Rage in the Cage. So staying away from Marvel just for a little bit, but kind of in the same realm. So the Iron Fist star, Jessica Henwick, will be playing Bugs in The Matrix Resurrections, which is coming up very soon on the 20th. We're very excited for it. Are we not, Zane?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes. So she's revealed... she doesn't actually reveal which character it was. However, she does say in an interview with EW that she was up for a role in Shang-Chi. And she turned it down in order to play Bugs in Matrix Resurrections.
Oh, wow.
So she was almost a character in Shang-Chi. Now, I think... speculation runs rampant. I think she would have been his sister.
Okay.
I don't think she would have fit into the Awkwafina. I can say her name now. I don't think she would have fit into the Awkwafina role of like the buddy best friend. I think she would have been like the tough, like kick-ass sister role. And it's I'm wondering if that's a statement of excitement that she turned down Shang-Chi to be in Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to say, because I mean, technically, she could say, "I've already done a Marvel IP."
Yeah,
It's not every day you can say I've done a Matrix IP. You know?
true. True. There is some speculation that she may have been asked to return as Colleen Wing, which is why it was kind of exciting that she might have been, one of the first Netflix brought across. But I don't buy that at all. I think they would have cast her. I think she would have been Shang-Chi's. It makes much more sense. What's her name? Xiling, I think was his sister.
Yeah.
I think it would have made much more sense if it had been her. I don't think they want to do that necessarily, but we'll see.
The only other thing I could imagine is, where they go to the fight club, fight tournament, whatever you want to call it, and there's those there's those different rooms that they walk past. That's the only other thing I could think of it being.
Yeah, I mean, from the sounds of things from the article and the interview, it doesn't sound like it was going to be a cameo. It sounds like it was actually going to be a full scale inclusion kind of thing. So it's like there was scheduling conflicts and she couldn't do both, so you had to choose one or the other. So yeah, interesting. I love Jessica Henwick. I think she's an incredible actress.
Definitely.
I'm very excited to see Matrix Resurrections. I have so many thoughts and theories wandering through my head about that film. So I just really hope it's going to be good. Like, I really do. I don't think it's ever going to be as good as the first one. I don't think that's possible. I really don't. After seeing the first one again last night, I don't think it's possible to be as good. But if it can just be up to as good or better, much better than the sequels, I'll be very happy with that. So
I've seen they've started doing the press tours and stuff for it as well. Like, there's a couple of interviews with Keanu, and I've seen a few articles pop up for Yaya.
Yes. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but there was an article where he's recently bowed out of the Furiosa movie. He was going to be in the Mad Max Furiosa movie. He's not going to be in it anymore. So I guess it's kind of it's an awkward thing, isn't it? Really, because he's getting a lot of. He is becoming a lot of franchise player movies. Yeah. Like he's going to be obviously Morpheus. He's just done Candyman, which is quite an iconic role. So he's starting to. I would imagine he wants to kind of sway away from. If you get put into the Mad Max franchise and you're a player in that as well, you're going to start to run into kind of like character issues potentially. I don't know, but it is what it is. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see. It's interesting to note that Marvel are looking to grab Netflix actors who were in their series. Speaking of Netflix, look at this segue. Speaking of Netflix and Marvel, John Bernthal was recently being interviewed by THR about his part in King Richard, with the tennis movie. And the conversation of the MCU came up. Now, this is a long quote, so I will read the whole quote because it gives you the idea of anything. So strap yourself in, guys, because I'm going to read the whole thing out. But we'll see what happens from this. But so this is when he was talking about the role of Frank Castle in the MCU. That character in particular has real deep meaning for me and resonance in me. He's really in my heart, man. He's really in my bones. I'm enormously protective of that character. I've said before that there's nothing in this world more important to me than my wife and my kids. And only until you understand that kind of love and what it really means to willingly die for somebody, do you understand what it would be like to be if someone took them from you. That's a road and a darkness and a rage that really scares me and brings me to places that I've worked for the last 20 years to get away from. So I was really grateful, respectful, and weary of the places where that role took me and the world in which I had to live in. That being said, that's where that character needs to be. It needs to be a level of darkness. I think that if there's any let up on that character, you do a disservice to the character, to every iteration of that character, to every comic book that's come before, and to all of the unbelievable fans of the character. This character means so much to people in the military. So like I said before, it's not about whether you do the character, it's about whether you can do it right, and I'm only interested in doing it right. So basically, that's John Bernthal saying he's open to do the character again. He wants to do the character again.
Yeah.
However, he's also saying probably not in the MCU if it was the same level of bright and cheeriness that it has been so far, because he believes that the Punisher is only good for like dark storytelling, which I kind of agree with him on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, Zane? Bearing in mind, we know that Deadpool 3 is going to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Is there room for a Punisher in modern MCU?
I think so. It's, you know, like you said before, it is targeted at like a young audience and action figures and all that jazz, but there is that corner of the MCU where it can be dark, like your Deadpool was like. I'm trying to think, like your Wolverines to an extent, I guess.
Yep, absolutely.
So why not? Why not have him involved? Plus, he is one of those actors that's done so much to commit to the character. You know, again, Ryan Reynolds is a great example for Deadpool. He's done so much to kind of like do the research, you know, bring an extra layer in his performance to the character compared to someone like Will Smith in Deadshot. It's a very Will Smith like.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right. There's actors that when you hire them, you're hiring them because you know it's going to be a Will Smith led movie as opposed to a character driven movie. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I am a very big fan of Punisher. He's one of my favorites. There was a Punisher Max series that ran between 2006 and 2010, I think, somewhere like that. And I can't remember the name of the guy. Hang on a sec. It's going to drive me crazy. Fill in the time, everyone. Fill in the time.
Is that the one where he's on the jet ski?
No, Garth Ennis. That's it. That's the guy.
I was going to say Garth Ennis.
Yeah, it's Garth Ennis's run of Punisher Max. It's amazing. It is incredible, and it's one of the greatest runs of a comic that I've ever read. And I have all of them behind me, which is why I was just checking. And I agree completely with him that like the Punisher is a dark character, and that there's no sun and joy and happiness about the Punisher at all. You know, he gets to the point where you could argue that he needs the mission more than he needed his family, because he needs to be angry and murdering people. But it's a fascinating thing to explore. I think if they were to do it dark, then it would work again in the MCU. But I think they need to. It's interesting. It's like with the comics, like, you know, you have the comic runs where it's like the mainstream comics, and then you have these issues like, or it's like Marvel Knights, or you have Marvel Max, and it's like I think they should start doing something like that with the movies, where you've got, okay, this is the mainstream MCU, this is the sacred timeline of the MCU, and then you've got, you know, this subsection of it which is still associated with the MCU. That's fine, it's still part of it. But it's Marvel Knights, like where things are much more violent and much more aggressive, and you see the underbelly of everything. But I don't know. It's interesting. I definitely want John Bernthal back. I think he understood the character very well, and was I really Absolutely. The first series of Punisher. It was, for me, the first series was up there with Daredevil as far as like shows on Netflix. I loved it.
His cameo in Daredevil was brilliant. Well, I say it was more than a cameo.
One cameo, yeah. It was great. It's great. Well, moving on, we've talked a bit about we've talked a lot about Netflix Marvel characters today, but what about the Fox characters that came over, Zane? What about the Fox actors who were previously characters in Marvel in the Fox universe? Have we thought about them? Well, I know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking. You know, we all loved Halle Berry as Storm. So would she be open to returning? Well, funny you should ask. In a recent interview with Vanity Fair, she was asked if she'd actually be interested in reprising the role of Storm. And she had this to say: I would absolutely return to it. It's a beloved character. I love playing Storm, and people love Storm. I would absolutely, you know, if we could find a version that would make sense, or a storyline that would make sense, I would absolutely do that for sure. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that Halle Berry was one of the standout. I can't pretend anymore. Halle Berry had very little to do in the X-Men movies. I mean, she was fine. The accent was weird in the first one, but apart from that, I don't know how I feel about her coming back to the role. There is a certain nostalgia to it, I guess, where I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be quite cool to see her back. But then there's also like, oh, it'd be terrible. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Zane?
I know we kind of talked about it before in our Fox Marvel tier list, which you should definitely check out if you haven't seen that or listen to it. Her Storm role was possibly the pinnacle of her like acting career, dare I say. Because you have like people like Hugh Jackman and such that were on the rise, and as we said before, Halle Berry was on the rise after Monsters Ball.
That's the peak of her acting career. Zane. She won an Oscar for it. Like let's not act like the comic book movies are so high and mighty. No. Halle Berry was huge before X-Men. It's she was a name that came into it. It is interesting. It's when you watch back, because I watched back a making of with the X-Men movies, the early X-Men movies. I won't go too much into this because we're going to get onto the Christmas movies soon. But it is interesting to note that like there were not a lot of people signing up to X-Men at all when they first went around with the casting for it, because comic book movies were dead. Don't forget. I mean, Blade had happened, but it wasn't like huge or anything. But like nobody wanted to touch it. And then because they got Bryan Singer to do it, because he wanted to do it as because he was a gay man himself, and so he wanted to explore the idea of outcasts in society. And he then got Ian McKellen. Because he'd worked with him on Apt Pupil. And when they got Ian McKellen and then got Patrick Stewart, after they got those two actors attached to it, suddenly loads of people started talking to them as like, oh, I want to be in this. Like, oh, you've got Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart together. I actually want to be in that now. And that's why they ended up getting like Famke Janssen and Halle Berry and lots of other like named actors, because McKellen and Patrick Stewart. Well, because of McKellen basically knowing Bryan Singer, and it's just really weird for that. Like, it's an interesting way. I wonder if the reason why I bring it up is I wonder how much modern movies have changed now to the point where it's like, oh, I want to do a big Marvel budget movie because I know it's a big Marvel budget movie and I know nothing about the character, but I know it's going to make some money and get my name out there. Whereas in those days, it was kind of just like well, I know this guy and I want to work with this actor, so I'll do that movie. And I just wonder if the Hollywood machine has changed so much now that it's like, I guess it still happens, doesn't it? I guess you still get people wanting to work with directors and then wanting to work with names. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that it's like X-Men was like you're not going to touch comic book movies. Oh, it's got Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, then I'll do
it. Here's a question for you. If they approached Halle Berry and like Kevin Feige came knocking and said, we want to do some Storm stuff, would you sign up? But then on the other side, they had Warner Brothers knock in and they said, Halle, we want you to come back to do some Catwoman
I knew
stuff.
you were going to say Catwoman.
Because we got multiverse Flashpoint happening.
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
Which contract do you think she'll grab first? Which script?
Well, she did win an award for Catwoman. So, yeah, it was a Razzie, but she won an award for it. Let me ask you this. I mean, if she was asked to reprise her role in Catwoman, would we see a recreation of that incredible basketball scene in the movie where in true cat-like fashion, she shows off her basketball skills? Would we see that in the multiverse? Because I think then it's a pretty easy answer, isn't it, Zane?
Yeah.
I would like to see. I'll tell you what I would like to see Halle Berry return at. The only way I would like to see her return into the MCU as Storm. This is the only way I would like to, and it can't happen now. It's not going to happen because it can't happen. Sure. I would have liked to see her return as T'Challa's wife. I would have liked to have seen her as the Queen of Wakanda. I think that would have been very her and Chadwick Boseman together would have been lightning on screen together. Forgive the pun with Storm, but unfortunately, rest in peace. That will not happen anymore. But that would have been amazing. I'm still hoping to. I still hope to see that connection at some point. I don't know what they're going to do. I just don't. That's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen with Black Panther either. But anyway, we're tangenting. So, but the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is feeding into our speculation hub, Zane. This is feeding into our speculation hub. Well, we speaking of the MCU, there is a certain film coming out very soon on December the 15th in the UK and 17th for our American listeners. Spider-Man: No Way Home is coming out.
Yes.
Now, we've seen trailers, we've seen lots of things about it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've seen, and you and I have speculated on when we've been talking about it, is the fact that Dr. Octopus seems to be a bit crazy when he first comes out, and then he seems to be normal in the trailers, and he's talking normally. And we have theorized why. We did a trailer reaction video where we talked about the fact that his arms look red, and they don't look red when he first comes through the portal. Like there's some kind of weird Iron Man armor. Now, one of the I guess like production guys to do with Spider-Man. Let me just double check what his official title. It's Jonathan Goldstein anyway, is the guy's name. It's his writer. That's it. The Homecoming writer. Yeah, the writer for Spider-Man Homecoming talked about his suit, Spider-Man's suit.
Right.
And he was talking about the fact that in the suit itself, they were dubious about it because there was a lot of fans calling him Iron Man Jr. because the fact that the suit had an AI in it. And he said, Jonathan Goldstein said, it ultimately worked, but we were skeptical about the spider suit talking. We felt it brought us too close to Iron Man and Jarvis because in his costume, there was an AI called Karen or Suit Lady, whatever you want to call it. Now, the reason why I bring this up and the reason why it's interesting to me that has come up in an interview recently is the fact that you and I have speculated that when Doc Ock grabs him in like his Iron Man armor, basically, because he is in the Iron Spider suit.
Yeah.
His arms seem to be getting covered with some kind of red metallic material that looks very Tony Stark-esque. And after reading that, I was like, I wonder, you know what, Zane? I wonder if the Jarvis mechanic or whatever it is, I think it's, what is it? What's the lady?
Friday?
The Friday, thank you. Or if the Friday AI is now Peter Parker's. And if that comes up with some kind of counter to the AI in Doc Ock's arms on the fly, which is how he's then able to, talk normally. Because there is that weird scene where it's being re-stripped, like his arms are being re-stripped with like Iron Man's tech.
I see what you mean.
Theories on this?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because, again, I can't remember if we did mention this. The scene, the cut just before in the trailer where he pins Peter against like a wall, there is the same sort of effect of his armor shimmers, like it moves the same way that Iron Man's does in Endgame and such.
Yes.
And that it moves to the body of Peter from revealing his face, which would suggest that it's the nanotech trying to protect Peter's body, which, like you said before, is probably had some sort of connection to the arms.
Exactly.
And maybe trying to, again, reconstruct the arms. Because, again, kind of going back to our theory, in Spider-Man 2, we know there's the chip at the back of Doc Ock's neck that's supposed to keep him in control of the arms.
Yeah, the inhibitor chip, isn't it?
Yeah, instead of the arms controlling him. And, yeah, it would be cool if that's what it's Friday or Karen, like you say, refix that chip so he has control over once again. It'd be cool. Absolutely. And I really hope that we get to see.
It is also kind of insulting in the sense of like, it just goes to show that like if Iron Man was existing in the Tobey Maguire universe, Doc Ock wouldn't have been a problem at all. It would have just been like, forget it. It's fine. I know how to fix that. No worries. Rampage. Yeah. What's that? You want a fusion reactor at the same time? Yeah, I'll make one of those. No problem.
Blows up an arc reactor because we need a blue beam in the sky for the climax of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's not. There needs to be another Fantastic Four movie for that.
But just to finish up, I kind of like the idea because that one theory I saw is that each Spider-Man movie has a mentor. So it's Mysterio
Yes.
in the last one.
Yeah, we
It'd be
talked about
nice
that, yeah.
if Doc Ock is the mentor figure in this, especially after the recent Spider-Man game that kind of played with that dynamic.
Yes, yes and no, because I think that the only issue I have with that is that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock has already been a mentor turned bad to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Like, that was very much the plot of Spider-Man 2, was that, you know, Molina's Otto Octavius was you know, very much a guy who Peter looked up to and had this perfect life with his wife and was devoted to science and had everything that he wanted, and then it all kind of fell apart on him, and then Peter was the one who had to bring him down. You know, brilliant but lazy is Peter Parker. But like, so I really like I agree with you about the mentoring thing. I'm much more in the idea of, like, it should be one of the other Spider-Men, Maguire or Garfield. They're definitely in it. I'm sorry, guys, if you're doubting it, I'd go and watch the Brazilian thing where Lizard gets punched in the face. They're definitely in it. If it's, I don't know which one it'll be, whether it'll be Garfield or whether it'll be Maguire. If it'll be both of them or one of them, but regardless, there's going to be another Spider-Man in this movie. Definitely, there's going to be another Spider-Man. I like the idea that it's much more a mature version of him who didn't have a Tony Stark to rely on, is the mentor for that. And then I think, because it's pretty much all but confirmed that Tom Holland is going to return as Spider-Man. You know, there's been various interviews this week.
Yeah, I think there's 3 more movies.
Well, that's what they've said. He hasn't signed up for 3 more movies solo yet, but he is signed up for more MCU movies. So he will be in the Avengers and other stuff like that. But I think that they obviously want to, it's almost like they're putting a trilogy together that of, you know, a home trilogy, you know, No Way Home, Far From Home, whatever, and that's the end of this. And then I would like to see the next set of films, because they as you said, they want to do another trilogy. I would very much like to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man being the mentor to a Miles Morales Spider-Man. Nice. And that's how they go on from there. It would make sense, because Tom Holland's already talked about a Miles movie, you know. So you have, like, maybe the next film is established Peter Parker, Tom Holland, you know, like with the beginning introduction to Miles, where you kind of, you know, something happens at the end of it which triggers his powers. You know, maybe the bad guy's the Prowler, you know, against Peter Parker. That's the introduction of Miles. Then the second one is Miles got his powers, and that's like, you know, the two of them together and how that works in New York. And then the third one is the final bow for Peter Parker. He goes out of it, and then it becomes the Miles show from that point on, you know. It would make very logical sense. And they do structurally seem to know what they're doing with I'm talking about Feige and here, not Sony. They do seem to know what they're doing with the character and where they want to progress with it. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm all for it. I love Tom Holland as Peter Parker. I think he's fantastic, and I'm very excited to see more of it. The other thing we haven't talked about is Venom, how Venom will fit into all of this as well.
It's very true.
But that is a conversation for another time, guys. So that is the end of the tips and bits part of this segment of the show. And now it's time to get your mistletoe out. Zane, give us a smackers, and let's talk through some of our favorite Christmas movies.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen this list, by the way, guys. I'm just going to call it now. So if there's anything on there that I firmly disagree with, we might be seeing an on-air argument between the Undisputed Nerds. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, this is why it's perfect, because I want to find out if you think some of these movies are undisputed or disputed. Simple as that.
This is I know one of the movies that's in there already, and I'm terrified. Let's go. Let's do this.
Starting off at number 10, Iron Man 3.
You're classing Iron Man 3 as a crack. I guess yeah, okay. So hang on, wait. Iron Man 3. Well, I mean, that's just that you could just say any Shane Black movie, because they're pretty much all set at Christmas. Iron Man 3 is a very difficult movie to start with, Zane. So I hate you for it. It is I mean, it takes place at Christmas, so I can understand why, although it doesn't really lean into the Christmas spirit of things like many other movies.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we'll go with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I like Iron Man 3. I do like
Yeah.
it. I do. However,
Hmm.
I like it better now that they fixed the Mandarin.
Yes.
I don't think there is any pure Iron Man fans or Marvel fans who really enjoyed that twist of Trevor, even though Ben Kingsley is amazing.
Hmm.
Having Trevor be the Mandarin was not great.
No.
I love Guy Pearce. I think Guy Pearce is one of the most underrated and incredible actors of this generation, and he has been in so many good films. I mean, like
That's true.
Memento, L.A. Noire.
Hmm.
You know, he's one of the best things about the new Alien movies, Prometheus and Covenant. I love Guy Pearce. I think he's fantastic, and he doesn't get enough recognition as being such a good actor. And he's fine as Killian, Aldrich Killian. They do a weird hodgepodge of the Extremis storyline from Invincible Iron Man run, and it's fine. Gwyneth Paltrow she gets her role expanded a little bit. It's all right. She's in a crop top. It's quite nice. There you go, male chauvinistic pig head on for like.
There we go.
There we go. We're hitting all the boxes today, guys. There is some speculation as well, or there was some speculation also that the boy that is in that, I can't remember what the kid's name is. He's in Jurassic World as well, but the kid actor basically who helps out Tony fixing his thing. There is some speculation that that is Iron Lad, or that was the early idea for Iron Lad, who is another variant of Kang. So obviously Jonathan Majors is now Kang. So there's a slight difference there. But you know, yeah, sure. But as a variant, so you never know. I'd give it an undisputed. It's Downey Jr. The where he saves the scene where he saves the passengers from the plane is fantastic. Still Absolutely. To this day, it's really good. I like when he has a makeshift Iron Man suit where he's made it out of like garden material, like garden equipment. Where he hasn't got his suit, and he goes
where
to
he breaks into the house.
Yeah, or he breaks into the house before we find out that the Mandarin isn't the Mandarin, and he's just got like this weird makeshift glove that's like a gardener's glove with like some coils on it and stuff to do some electricity things. I like that. There's some really good parts of this film. I do like the bit with all the suits at the end. I still think that's really good.
I like that as well.
Yeah, there's enough good bits in this that make it a good film. It's just that I think it really was that twist, the Mandarin twist, really, really weighed it down for a lot of kind of pure blood comic nerds. But on its own merits, Iron Man 3 is fine. It's much better than 2. It's definitely much better than 2.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I would undispute that, and I would say if you're looking for a festive Marvel movie, yeah, you could do worse. You could do a lot worse.
Absolutely. Number 9 on the list. I've just put Harry Potter because there is quite a few of them that take place over Christmas.
Harry Potter!
Not all of them, but some of them do.
This is easy. I can tell you right now, if you're familiar with Harry Potter, if you're familiar with the genre of the Potterverse, there are films to avoid and there are films to watch. If you haven't ever seen a Harry Potter film, then obviously start with Philosopher's Stone, or whether they call it in America, the Sorcerer's
Stone. Yeah.
I'm not saying anything to our American listeners, you poor people over there who got patronized by the studio. They won't know what philosopher means. Wow. Rude. Thanks, Warner Brothers. Yeah. But the greatest example of a Harry Potter movie is The Prisoner of Azkaban. It is still, to this day, for me, the best Harry Potter movie. Gary Oldman, for all his controversial things that he may have said or didn't say in the past, that he has apologized profusely for, and I genuinely think he didn't mean it in the way that it came across. Gary Oldman is amazing, and he's very, very good as Sirius Black. Everything is just they've got past the point where they need to introduce people, they've got past the point where they need to kind of like worry about the law and the environment. They're just like, nope,
Yeah.
this is Potter. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. You've got genuinely really scary stuff like the Dementors.
Yep.
You've got what's his name? Lucian. What's
Lucius
his name?
Malfoy?
No, not Malfoy. No, the guy who turns into a werewolf.
Lupin.
Lupin, that's it. Lupin. Yes, you got Lupin, who's also in that's David Thewles. Yes, he's amazing in it. And all of the Potter cast, they've all like sunk into it. So obviously Emma Watson is really good as Hermione. Rupert Grint, it all just works, and it's all for me personally speaking, it is the peak of Potter. It really is. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, out of all of them, I would probably say this is probably my second favorite. That's my second favorite because Goblet of Fire. I really like Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, it's. I was gonna mention Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is a very good. Did you put your name in the? Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? Did you put your name in the fire? Yes. Yes. Goblet of Fire is very, very good. I do like that bit at the end where in Goblet of Fire when
Cedric, what's his Diggory?
No, yeah, well, Diggory when he dies. It was Voldemort. Gee, why was that so hard for me to think of? Where Voldemort comes back, he just goes, "Kill the whelp," and he just gets zapped immediately. But of course, Prisoner of Azkaban, you get that massive reveal about names. I'm terrible with names. No, not Buckbeak.
Time travel.
No. What is Voldemort's right hand man called?
Peter Pettigrew.
Yes, him. You get the revelation that he is the rat.
In more ways than one.
Spoilers, guys. Yeah. It's just great. Prisoner of Azkaban. It's just great. But yes, I will agree. Goblet of Fire. If you can't get your hands on Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire is also excellent. Although I can't really forgive Daniel Radcliffe's hair in that movie because it is. He's got the Tom Cruise weave from Mission Impossible 2 in Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, they've all tried to grow their hair out long in that one, haven't they? They've all got bangs.
They have. Yeah. It's like instant teenager syndrome.
Yeah. But I think Philosopher's Stone's probably the most Christmassy out of all of them.
Oh, it's definitely the most Christmassy. It's definitely and also if you don't know what Harry Potter is or don't know how could you not? But if you've never seen a Harry Potter film, start at the beginning. It is better to start at the beginning when they're all kids. Although the acting is not great in it, but they're all young. So
yeah, exactly. What can you say?
The revelation of seeing the snitch ball in Quidditch and going, "I like that ball," is one of the worst acting performances I've ever seen. But it's fine.
It is what it is. So yeah, any or all of Harry Potter over Christmas is absolutely fine. We won't judge you.
I mean, we did just give specifics for which ones we would watch, but that's fine, Zane. Yeah, just steamroll over the whole thing. You're drunk.
Talking of drunk, the Polar Express.
Polar Express is one I have not seen. I have never seen the Polar Express, so you're going to be the one to lead on this one, Zane.
I think animated movies at Christmas, probably not. I'm going to say Disputed. I'm not going to say
it's Tom Hanks, isn't it?
Yeah, and Tom Hanks plays maybe 3 or 4 roles in this,
right?
Because he's like the train conductor. He's like Santa. He's quite a few different characters in this.
Speaking of Tom Hanks, right? This is going to go a bit off tangenting, going away from the Polar Express. So I apologize, guys. But he did an interview recently, and he listed his top 3 favorite movies that he's been in.
Okay.
Like of his to watch. Do you know what those 3 movies were?
No.
It is okay. So I remember 2 of them. I might have to find the third one, but it was like the weirdest stuff. I was like, "Are you serious? Like you're choosing of all the films you've done, these are your favorites." Right, okay, I found it. Here we go. So these are the 3 movies that he likes the best, his favorites.
Okay.
A League of Their Own, the baseball movie that he did in like the 80s.
Wow.
Okay, fine.
Sure. Yeah.
Castaway, where he talks to a football. Okay, fine.
Memorable. Yeah.
Brace yourself. Cloud Atlas.
Oh God.
So the 3 favorite. Bearing in mind, this is the man who's been in Big. This is the man who's been in Forrest Gump. This is the man who's been in Catch Me If You Can.
Toy Story.
Toy Story. Yeah, Toy Story. His 3 favorite movies that he's been in: Cloud Atlas, A League of Their Own, and Castaway. How weird is that, Zane?
I'm more surprised they're not. What's the Spielberg film? Something Bridge.
Oh, Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies. Like,
phenomenal film as well, by the way. If you've not seen that film, it is incredible. Yeah, I know. He's done loads of Spielberg films. Like, he's done lots.
That's what I was thinking. Like Spielberg and him. Like, the airport one. I can't even. I really
Terminal.
can't think of the names. Terminal.
The Terminal.
Another sort of one-man performance, but
he did that. The one about the pilot landing on the Hudson.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I'm just like, you've done lots of really good. But honestly, as far as like Tom Hanks is concerned, when I think of him, I think of Big. I think of Toy Story. I think of Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. I think like there's Forrest Gump. Like, I think of all these films. Don't think of like Cloud Atlas, A League of Their Own, and Castaway. I guess is pretty iconic. I could forgive him for Castaway, but I almost swore. It's really weird, isn't it? Isn't that weird, Zane?
Very bizarre. Yeah.
Anyway, Polar Express. Polar Express wasn't on his list either.
No, it wasn't.
But yeah, I don't know about Paul. I mean, I guess it's Christmassy. I don't know enough about it to kind of know. I apologize, guys. I haven't. It's one of the rare ones that I haven't seen.
It's I'd say watch it to kind of make your own mind up. It's based on a book. It's about a child who, believe it or not, a train pulls outside his house and they have to get to the North Pole to see Santa. Blah, 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 blah. But at the time it was kind of a spectacle because of the animation that they've done, because it's kind of like a CGI animation movie. So
I feel like I get frustrated with movies like that where it's like they rely too much on the tech rather than the actual story and the content of the film to actually be a good. Like, it shouldn't matter if the story's good, what the technology is to portray it. It should be an added benefit. That was the same issue I had with Avatar, where I sorry guys, for anyone listening might turn off, but I don't like the Avatar movie at all, and I hate that it's the #1 movie in the world. I hate it. That literally rode the back of the 3D, advent, which, by the way, 3D has now died a death after the pandemic. So it's interesting how it kind of comes in waves. So
yeah, I would say if you are looking for a very good animated movie, which isn't on this list, but as a sort of swap out, I would probably say Rise of the Guardians, which is about Jack Frost and.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Very. It's got Hugh Jackman as the Easter Bunny, and I can't think of his name as Santa Claus. One of the Baldwin brothers.
One of the acting talent Baldwin brothers. That they when they come together, they form the Triforce. It might come up on the list later, but for me, animated movies, Christmas, A Nightmare Before Christmas is.
It's the next one on the list.
Oh, there you go. I mean, as far as animated Christmas movies go, it is, for my money, probably one of, if not the greatest animated Christmas movies ever. I am a big fan of Tim Burton's Gothic style. I was brought up, not in a good way, on Batman '89. So the Gothic architecture of Gotham I fell in love with. I still to this day love Gothic architecture. My wife hates Gothic architecture, and we walk past churches and I'm like, oh my God, that looks incredible. And she's like, just shut up. I don't want to talk about it. But like this Nightmare Before Christmas is literally Tim Burton doing a kid's movie, really. And there's just so many good characters in it. The Jack Skellington is amazing. Oogie Boogie is still really terrifying. Like, he still creeps me out to this day. He's just a sack of bugs. It's horrible. Like, it's
Yeah.
genuinely horrible. The songs are super catchy. I did see that Danny Elfman is doing like a special. I didn't realize that he sang most of the songs in that film. Did you know that?
Yeah, and
I didn't realize he sang it.
Yeah, he voice acted Jack.
Yeah,
as well.
So yeah, so he's doing a special Christmas Christmas concert thing where it's all the songs from Nightmare Before Christmas live in concert with him doing them. But like everyone knows what's this. You know, it's great. It's just such a great movie. I love Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's it's wonderful. Thoughts? It's definitely Undisputed. Sorry, definitely. If you want to, that's what you should watch if you're going to watch a good Christmas movie, like for kids.
Absolutely. It's. I think at this stage it's iconic. You know, you always see merch for it and stuff this time of year. Yeah, and I think another sort of appreciation as well. Stop animation. It's one thing to do stop animation, but then to do a stop animation musical is
stop motion. Yeah, I have a really love-hate relationship with stop motion animation. So I love, for example, Wallace and Gromit. For those, it's pretty universal now. I think everyone knows what Wallace and Gromit is, but that is Wallace and Gromit, Nightmare Before Christmas. They're examples of some of the most peak stop motion animation you can possibly get. For me, stop motion animation can get pretty hokey sometimes, especially when you superimpose it again. Like if you look back at some films, Terminator is one that comes to mind. If you look back at the first Terminator movie, so towards the end of the film when he loses his Schwarzenegger aesthetic and becomes just an endoskeleton, that's all done with stop motion animation against it's stop motion against a static backdrop that they superimpose onto the film. And if you watch it now, it doesn't hold up very well. It's still great for the time, but like it looks very hokey. I also get creeped out by certain stop motion animation. I was
just going to say that there's some of it really spooks me because it's so hokey.
There was a Japanese film that I saw when I was young, and I shouldn't have seen it. Definitely shouldn't have seen it. But it was super violent, super horrible. Like with this samurai that would be. It was like it's like a demon samurai or something like that was murdering people in stop motion animation, and it's like there's just something so unnatural about like those plasticine models or whatever they use, and then guts exposed and stuff like that in stop motion. It looks so wrong to me to this day. So sometimes stop motion animation, I can see it and just be like, oh, no.
There's
I turn into that cat meme. No.
There's two films I always think of, which is Jason and the Argonauts with the skeletons, the fight sequence. That always terrified me as a kid. And I think it's Clash of the Titans, the monsters.
Yeah, the early monsters in Clash of the Titans. Yeah.
Because some of them just seem so violent.
It's so time consuming though. I mean, geez, mass respect to the patience of stop motion animators that do that. Because 30 seconds worth of film is like an hour and a half's worth of work, just to kind of pinpoint. The trick to good stop motion animation as well is the minute movements and keeping track of what the minute movements are. Like stop motion animation, when it's done wrong, is like really jerky and it's like, and your eyes kind of fill in the gap of the movement. But like when it's done right, it's like this seamless motion, and it's incredible. Like Wallace and Gromit is an incredible example of stop motion animation done so well. Like when you think about all the stuff that goes on in Nightmare Before Christmas for that matter, but Nightmare Before Christmas had a slightly bigger budget than like the early Wallace and Gromit animations. But if you think about like things like The Wrong Trousers, for example, Wallace and Gromit The Wrong Trousers, where you've got like there's a chase sequence. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. The train chase sequence at the end, like with Gromit fighting the penguin on the back of a train, whilst there's also Wallace wandering around in these mechanical trousers and stuff. And the whole thing is like supposed to be at high speed. And it's just like, it looks so good, even to this day. Like, I still, in my mind, like, I watched that when I was a kid. I used to love Wallace and Gromit when I was a kid, and like, I still like have this image in my mind and laugh so hard when I think about Gromit running out of the track and then grabbing the box and like putting down his own track before the train comes along. It's amazing. It's so good. That's what you want to watch at Christmas, guys. Go and watch Wallace and Gromit at Christmas as well. I don't think
absolutely.
I would doubt it's going to be on the list, but I remember when I was a young boy, like that was one of the always, I knew Christmas was going to be good because they had a new Wallace and Gromit out.
That's
like,
true. Yeah.
That will always be released on the BBC at Christmas. And oh man, the memories. Sorry, we're going down nostalgia alley here. We are.
This is true. Another sort of thing in nostalgia alley is Jingle All the Way.
Oh my God, Zane. I was waiting for this. I knew this one was going to be on there. I knew this one was going to be on there. Well, the film is very disputed because it's a terrible film. Should you watch it? Probably, because Schwarzenegger is hilarious in it without meaning to be hilarious.
Do you think Turbo Man is a great superhero, by the way?
We get one of the greatest lines from Arnold Schwarzenegger in this film because of that. You do realize that? Would you like me to tell you which one it is?
Yeah, please.
I mean, there's a number of them. Put the cookie down is a good one. But my all-time favorite from Jingle All the Way Schwarzenegger line is, "I'm not a pervert. I just wanted a turbo doll."
Incredible.
Yes,
incredible.
It is. Put the cookie down. No. Yeah, I do. No, it's awful. Go and watch it though, because it's worth watching. Sinbad tries his best in it. Bless him. How do you feel about it at the end, where the kid doesn't need a Turbo Man doll because his dad's the real Turbo Man?
It gives you the warm message of Christmas, doesn't it? But at the same time, it makes you feel like the last hour was meaningless.
Precisely. That's exactly it. Yeah. What was the point? All the guy needed to do was, instead of go and get a Turbo Man doll, all he needed to do was go and get a cosplay of Turbo Man. And his kid would have been happy for Christmas, which proves one of two things. One, Arnold Schwarzenegger's an idiot in that film. Two, his kid's an idiot.
Impressed with the lamest jetpack I've ever seen in my life as well.
Exactly. Well, it is a jetpack though, to be fair. Poor Sinbad's kid being the bad guy as well. Wow. Jerk. He's just trying to do the same thing that Schwarzenegger's trying to do.
Next one on this list.
Get to the Turbo Man.
Next one on this list is Gremlins.
Oh, that's a great movie. Yeah, Gremlins is great. Gremlins is undisputed. I have not seen Gremlins in years. I sometimes get Gremlins confused with Gremlins 2 as well, because Gremlins 2 is the one where they've got all the specialist gremlins, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Gremlins 1 is great. It's not really one for the kids, so don't sit down and watch it with your family. But technically it is supposed to be a horror film, isn't it? And it is, when the Mogwais turn, it is quite horrible. Gremlins is awesome. What's your thoughts on Gremlins, Zane?
Yeah, I think it's a fun little movie. Plus Gizmo's so adorable. Like, if we didn't have Gizmo, we wouldn't have had all those merchandise after it and copies of it, if you know what I mean.
It's weird. You know what? Gremlins is one of those movies where I'm like, I've definitely seen it, and now you're talking about it, but I cannot remember it at all because I keep thinking about Gremlins 2, which is I know Gremlins 2 is a far inferior film, but I can't start. I keep thinking about the brainy Gremlin.
Yes, on the chat show, and there's a girl gremlin, and
that's all in the second one though. That's
spider gremlin.
I guess let's call it the Gremlins franchise, guys, because we can't remember Gremlins 1 very well. I obviously remember that the guy who's like, "Don't feed him after midnight, don't get him wet," but it's weird, isn't it? I cannot think. I know it's a good film. I can't tell you why. because I can just remember Gremlins 2.
Sometimes I get like that with Ghostbusters. I can't detach like certain Ghostbuster movies. That sometimes they're just an amalgamation of all of them.
Right.
Together.
I mean, obviously, like 2016's Ghostbusters is just an absolute work of art. Speaking of Christmas movies, it feels like a Christmas movie as well.
Another one we got on this list is Home Alone.
Oh my God! Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking quintessential Christmas movies. Oh my Lord, Home Alone. Okay, so we talking about 1 or 2?
Either. Why not both?
Okay, I prefer 2 personally. I think that the New York setting is better. There's a couple of things about Home Alone that I want to get into though, because I had a feeling that this might be on the list. Number 1. Kevin McAllister needs to be put into a foster home because his parents are the worst people to look after a kid in the world. How do you forget there's no way. And then they're just like, oh yeah, it's just happened. I'll try my best to get back to them. What? Like, you're the worst. You're the worst. And then there's that scene where like, oh God, they're all around the dinner table and then Kevin's getting bullied.
Yeah.
And he spills, doesn't he spill like soda or something on the guy's passport or some stuff? And then the uncle's like, look what you did, you little jerk. And I'm like,
and then everyone lays into him after, don't they?
Yeah. I'm like, if I'd have been Kevin's dad, I would have pulled my brother to one side and been like, if you ever say that to my child again, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to murder you. Don't ever do that again. I wouldn't be like, it was an accident. It's not like he did it on purpose. Look what you did, you little jerk. All right, Slaps, calm down. So yeah, that aside, Kevin McAllister is a monster, and he clearly grows up to be Jigsaw. That fan theory is 100% correct. I love Home Alone. It's a wonderful movie. It is. Everyone is hitting exactly the points they need to hit in that film for it to be great. Macaulay Culkin is great in it. Joe Pesci is great in it. The whole film is just really well established. Although I'm not necessarily agree with Kevin's reaction to the poor guy shoveling snow outside when he just looks up at him and looks at him and just raises an eyebrow, and then Kevin goes, ah! It's like,
it's because his siblings told him that he was like some sort of scary murderer.
Oh, that's right. He told him he was a murderer. That was it. I remember.
Yeah.
He told him it was the shoveler, wasn't it? Yeah. Home Alone is a quintessential Christmas movie. You should watch it at least once every Christmas, whether you watch the first one or the second one. The second, or both. The second one has one of my favorite scenes of all time in it, and one of the ones that I laugh at the most, which is when one of the sticky bandits gets electrocuted. Is it Marv gets electrocuted? And then turns into a literal skeleton. I know it's a horrific thing to have happened, and yes, let's be honest, if it was really happening, he would be dead. But God, it's funny.
I like how there's this weird thing that Marv likes to block sinks and toilets with toilet paper.
Yes.
And he's like, it's our signature.
The wet bandits in the first one, yeah. And then he gets like, have you seen the second one? Or you've obviously seen the second one, but the second one where he puts a load of tape around his hand and calls them the sticky bandits. And then he puts his hand in charity tubs and gets all the coins out onto his hands.
Yeah.
Great film.
Ridiculous.
Such a great film. I always wanted to go to that toy store as well from the second one. The one that was when he's in New York and it's the big toy store. I always wanted to go to that as a kid. And then I realized it didn't exist and I got very upset. Anyway.
I always wanted the voice recorder.
Oh my God. Credit card details? You got it. Yeah, and Tim Curry's in the second one. Sorry, can we take a minute to talk about the absolute brilliance that is Tim Curry, who is one of my favorite actors of all time. And guys, if you've not seen him, if you don't know who Tim Curry is, go and search for Tim Curry. Some of his interviews are absolutely inspired. He's it. He was the original Pennywise. For those of you who don't know, he's amazing in that film as well. It's so good. Watch the second one, guys. The first one's good, but watch the second one. The second one's the absolute nuts, so to speak. It is fantastic. The second one is. Yeah, Tim Curry's amazing in that. Credit card details, you got it.
These last two can
I'm
be.
I'm Peter McAllister, the father.
Actually,
Who believes that?
Yeah,
Sorry,
that
go
is
on,
outrageous.
go on.
I've just realised we've missed one on the list.
Oh.
So Batman Returns,
Okay. I mean, yeah, all right. It's set
another
at
Burton.
Christmas.
Yeah,
It's set at Christmas, Zane. You can't. Like, I mean, it's not a Christmas movie, is it? Let's be honest. Like, yes, it's set at Christmas. Batman Returns is the. I like Batman Returns a lot. I wouldn't call it a Christmas movie. I would call it more a Christmas massacre with the amount of people that Batman kills in it.
you went for these last two. You went for these last two.
Oh,
okay.
dude. Well, one of them's going to be Die Hard. Obviously, I know that Die Hard's coming. But like Bruce McClane, John McClane kills people in Die Hard. Let's talk about Batman killing people for a minute.
Okay.
You can argue, right?
Yes.
I still want to do it. So I have an idea for a podcast, guys, which is Batman 360 No Scope, where me and Zane go through all the times that Batman has killed people on screen. Right? There are some times where you can say he inconsequentially killed people by accident. In Batman Returns, he is on a killing spree. All right, he deliberately turns around the Batmobile and full on flames a guy with the booster. Like, there's no way you can avoid that. He puts dynamite in someone's pants and knocks him down a sewage pipe and watches them explode. You can't, like. I think Batman Returns, right?
Yeah.
The only issue I have with Batman Returns is that it takes the focus a little bit off of Bruce Wayne and Batman, which is fine because the villains are very good. I'm not such a huge fan of Catwoman in Batman Returns. I have to be honest with you. I mean, like, she's amazing once she is Catwoman, but the origins of her and all that jazz, and it's just, I don't know, it feels really hokey. And Selena Kyle is never. She's not that in the books. Like, she's not this ditzy secretary who gets pushed out a window. It's not like that. Christopher Walken is fantastic as Max Shrek. He's hamming it up like crazy. There was a reveal that Danny DeVito might wants to come back as Penguin.
Yeah, he's doing a Penguin comic book for DC.
Yes, yeah. He's said recently, "I'm not dead yet," in reaction to like the Penguin.
But he dies in the movie because the penguins have a funeral for him.
Does he though? Or just gets carried away? He only falls through like a, out of the. He only falls from like 10 stories high into a very shallow swimming pool. Can survive that.
Why not?
Yeah, Batman Returns is amazing. It is the peak probably it's the peak of Burton's Batman easily.
Absolutely.
As much as the first Batman is great, Batman Returns takes what had that and built on it. And yeah, it's really good. Again, it's difficult because I would argue that a lot of these films, like Gremlins, like Home Alone, like Batman, they're not. Neither one of them is better than the other, so to speak. So you're better off watching them in pairs, together if you want to watch them. I don't agree that it's a Christmas movie, Batman Returns. It's just set at Christmas. There's nothing particularly Christmassy joyful about it. But
there's the famous line that mistletoe can be deadly. I mean, if that doesn't sum up Christmas, I don't know what does.
No, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it, but a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it, Zane. That worries me how much that quote is embedded in my head that I could just come up with it. That is the actual quote, guys, as well. Fact check me. Go ahead. That's how I got my wife. That's what I said to her.
Yeah.
And she
just as much as Keaton then.
Absolutely. And I believe her next words were, "Well, why don't you eat some mistletoe then?" Anyway, moving on.
Last two. We've already mentioned Die Hard. Let's get into it. Undisputed. There we go.
Oh yeah, Batman Returns Undisputed as well, by the way, guys.
Mm.
Die Hard. I mean, man, there's this argument could go on for years, but nothing. It doesn't feel like Christmas unless I've watched Die Hard. It is Die Hard. Die Hard for me might be my perfect action movie. Like it is when Bruce Willis cared still.
Yes.
About about acting. Blink and you'll miss it, but he still cared. Is it his best performance ever? I think he's done some better. Personally speaking, I think he's done some better acting roles. 12 Monkeys comes to mind.
Sure.
Sixth Sense comes to mind. You know, I think active Bruce Willis between the 80s to probably early to mid 2000s Bruce Willis. That is peak Willis. That is when you got the best stuff out of him. That was when he was the best. Like, you know, when he started teaming with like Terry Gilliam and M. Night Shyamalan and Luc Besson in Fifth Element. I still love that film, even though I can agree it's a bit hokey, but I still love it. But Die Hard is great Die Hard is really great for a couple of reasons. But the two main reasons why it's really good is that Bruce Willis is phenomenal in it, and his relationship with Holly McClane is amazing. But Rickman, my God, is Rickman an amazing bad guy in that film? Rickman, Hans Gruber, McClane. He makes that movie something special. You know, it's phenomenal. Die Hard. I don't think there's probably going to be anyone listening to this podcast that hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen Die Hard, go and watch Die Hard. It is a Christmas movie, quintessential Christmas movie, and I love it. So yes, Undisputed 100% goes on the list. It's better than Die Hard 2. I guess you could classify Die Hard 2 as a Christmas movie as well, because it's also set at Christmas. But Die Hard 1 is. Here's a question for you, Zane. What is your favorite Die Hard movie out of all 5 of them?
It's tough. Like you said, Die Hard 1 is incredible.
I know
Die
what you're going to
Hard
say.
3
is
something special with Samuel.
This is my boy!
Of Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. See, I am, as far as we're talking about Christmas movies here, yes, Die Hard 1, quintessential. Go watch it. It's incredible. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Oh, there's just something so good about Die Hard with a Vengeance. I love it so much. It's the addition of Sam Jackson. You've got another amazing British actor as the bad guy, being German, because you've got Jeremy Irons who plays
as his brother,
Simon Gruber. But then adding in Sam Jackson and the buddy cop dynamic between the two of them, it just makes that film so good.
What I also love about it as well is that it's all these things happening around in New York. It's not. It scales it up even more from a building to everywhere in New York. Simon Says, and they have to run and
100%. Yeah, 100% agree.
Brilliant.
Yeah, this is why we do the podcast together, guys. All right, what's the last one on the list? So yeah, go and watch Die Hard Undisputed.
This last one surprised me, and I had to do some research on this. So the last one is Lethal Weapon.
Again, because it's Shane Black and he sets all of his films at Christmas. You could have put Kiss Kiss Bang Bang on there technically as a Christmas movie because it's set at Christmas. It's not. It's Lethal Weapon's not a Christmas movie.
Here's the quotation I found as well. Now this comes from cinemableed.com, and if you Google this is the first thing that comes up. Not only is Lethal Weapon considered a Christmas movie because it falls into the same criteria as Die Hard does, when being evaluated in a similar context, the film was the inspiration for making John McClane's holiday adventure a holiday-themed classic.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's the feeling. It's the difference in feeling. Die Hard is. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a Christmas feel to Die Hard before it becomes an action film, and it's established that it is I don't ever feel that way with Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon is like, it's an action movie that just so happens to take place in winter time.
Yes.
Whereas like Die Hard, it's this Christmas movie. He's coming home to see his kids for Christmas. It's a Christmas family. Like, they're coming home. They've been separated. He's brought a big bear with him. That big bear has come back. It feels Christmassy. And then all this stuff with Hans Gruber happens. Like,
also, he makes a friend.
Yeah,
in this fiasco.
Two of them. He makes Argyle, the limo driver, as his friend, and then Al Powell, the cop. It's a perfect Christmas movie, and then a guy gets murdered horrifically in it. That's the perfect Christmas movie. You know, Al Powell then guns down a guy who's about to kill him at the end. It's the ultimate Christmas redemption.
Where Lethal Weapon is, they're still a family. Like,
yeah, it's just not the same though, is it? You know, you've got like denounced Australian Mel Gibson, just, you know, strumming up a lot of trouble, you know, talking about, you know, offensive Jew culture, because that's what he does.
Sure. But also being a maverick that he is during Christmas.
Have you ever seen the film with Mel Gibson? I think it's called Beaver or something like that.
No.
Where he's got he's lost his mind and his only friend is a hand puppet that's a beaver. And it's like directed by Jodie Foster. Have you seen that?
No, I would have never thought that was real.
I'm pretty sure it's real. I'm pretty sure it's not a fever dream I've had. I have been sick this week. Hang on.
Does it take place over Christmas?
It doesn't, I'm afraid. No, I'm sorry. I can't break that to you. But you know, I wish I could. But I'm gonna try and find, what's the name of it. It's called The Beaver. It was in 2011.
Wow.
Yeah. He's here to save Walter's. Oh, that's so sad. That makes me really genuinely sad. I'm gonna, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm gonna send this to Zane and he can bring it up. Hopefully that will show the correct image.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, there you go. It is directed by Jodie Foster as well. A troubled husband and executive adopts a beaver hand puppet as his sole means of communication. There you go.
There we go.
Merry Christmas, everyone. But yes, no, I don't consider Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie. It is Undisputed, though. It is a fantastic action film. Again, it's the whole franchise kind of bleeds into one, because I can't remember when Joe Pesci comes into it, whether it's the first one or I think it's the second one that he comes into it. And then I know Jet Li's in the fourth, and Rene Russo I think is in the third. I don't know. It all bleeds together, Zane.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say it's something I'm going to watch this Christmas, because I don't think I've ever watched it at Christmas. So I might watch it this year. And
are you gonna sacrifice Die Hard to watch that? Is that going to be your Christmas action movie instead this year?
No, because Batman Returns is my action movie at Christmas.
Fair enough. All right, that's fair enough. Cool, but well, thank you for that rundown of the top 10. God knows where you got that list from. Christmas movies, Zane. Guys listening and guys watching, what are your favorite Christmas movies of all time? Let us know. You know, enjoy this pre-Christmas episode joy bonanza. I think we're going to be back next week doing probably more tier lists of some other stuff, won't we? I think we've been talking about doing phase one, and I think Zane won't be as hungover, so he'll actually be able to talk properly about stuff. But yeah, actually, you know what? When's old? I believe it might be No Way Home very soon. Is that next week or is that the week after? I think it's the week after, isn't it? Yes, it is. It's the week after. Okay, so yeah, next week we'll probably do a tier show, guys, and then I think we'll probably be looking at some No Way Homage. And then we'll probably do the Hawkeye wrap up the week after that, because that'll be the end of Hawkeye, won't it, as well?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just before Christmas.
There's a lot coming out this Christmas. because like Spider-Man's next, then Matrix Resurrections,
yes,
and then The Kingsman as well is coming out, which we haven't talked about. Which
Get
I
to
saw.
see-
I saw the trailer for it yesterday. Man, it looks good. It looks so good.
Yeah, Voldemort looks great in a
Yes.
suit.
Ralph Fiennes looks great. Yes, that's his name. I didn't recognize Rhys Ifans in it as well either. Did you recognize Rhys Ifans?
No,
He's Rasputin in it. Is he
really?
Yeah. That's Rhys Ifans. That's the guy who played Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, and
Yes.
that's him. That's him.
Actually, on the subject of that actor and Christmas, there's I think Sky One or Sci-Fi did this like 2-part TV special on Peter Pan, and he plays as Hook in it.
No, you're thinking of really?
Yeah, and it's hilarious because he does this whole like Peter, like the way he pronounced it, he's like Peter, and then he went and did Amazing Spider-Man, and it's like
exactly the same. Brilliant.
Like, Peter, your father and I.
Oh, that's so great.
No, Peter.
So oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. That's anyway. I am very excited for The Kingsman. I think The Kingsman might be the sleeper hit of this December. I really do. I think that it's kind of getting like squashed, I guess is like the wrong word, but like kind of overlooked because of Matrix and because of Spider-Man. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, yeah, let us know, guys. What do you think your favorite, or what do you know your favorite Christmas movies are? Zane, where can people reach you?
Oh, they can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Zane_Taicho. Links will be in the description as always.
Lovely. You can get through to me on Instagram at Gentlemanly Gamer, or come to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Gentlemanly Gamer. My community has made me start playing Outlast, and I hate them for it. And yeah, come watch me work my way through that and be scared like a little baby. Zane.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure. I'm glad that you've managed to stay with us through this entire hour and a half that we've been doing.
Thank you. I'm gonna eat something. I don't know what.
Good. That's always good. Yeah. So I think we need that as humans to survive. So it's good that you're going to eat something.
Yeah. And I look forward to our next episode. Again, if you haven't already, check out our Undisputed Anime episode where we tiered live adaptations, because we were talking about Cowboy Bebop, and we were like, you know what? Let's tier them. Let's see.
He trial runs all of his ideas on this podcast, and then he does it better on the anime podcast, guys. That's what he does. He doesn't have any love for this anymore. He doesn't love me anymore. The one thing I was going to say, guys, is that if you're listening to us on a podcasting platform, a podcasting medium, or if you're listening to us and watching us on YouTube, please leave us a like or a little review, just saying what you thought about the show, what you want to see in the future. Just give us your ideas. We'd love to hear more from you. A special thank you to our viewers who have been listening, listeners or viewers this week, who have got in touch and communicated with us this week. It's been very nice. And I don't know what else we can say other than we shall see you next week, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening, watching, and this is Undisputed signing off. See you soon.
Bye.